I'm upset. I just did a 45-minute video recapping the draft, a quick overview of week 1, and a breakdown of week 2. And I forgot to press play. Can't get that time back. Can't get the anxiety I felt telling Greg Mraz his team was trash back. Yelling at Dom for leaving 97.2 points on his bench. Can't get that back. But what I can do is get better. I'll learn from my mistakes, which being 2-0, I haven't made many. And I'll get better. Welcome to week 3, boys. It's week 3, first video of the year, and I'm jacked up. I'm not going to go into the big-time detailed draft recap because we're over that. We're past that. We're on to Detroit. We don't care about what happened in Jacksonville. We're on to Detroit, but I am here to give you a quick summary of what I think about your team, who I like, who I don't like. I can tell you right now, I had some notes from the night of the draft. Disregard any injuries and who's played well, who hasn't played well so far. My 6 playoff team prediction was Bobby Green, Jack Livingston, myself, Greg, Jandro, Cummings. Those are my 6 teams to make the playoffs based on the draft, based on what I thought, which usually is nothing because I usually come in 7th. That's my sweet spot. Just enough to get me anxious for all 14 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever it is, and then lose right before the playoffs and then me feeling miserable about myself. That's my sweet spot. Greg Mraz, your team or draft and team is trash, in trouble, needs help. Casano, your team was the border team. Is he going to make the playoffs? He's going to have to fist fight with Cummings to see who gets that 6th spot. So those are my projected playoff teams after the draft. I will give you a very quick overview of each team, and then I'll just give you the week 2 recap, focus on week 3. Fantasy season is back. Draft videos are back. This is where champions are made. When you're sitting at work and you're trying to look busy and you need to think, who's on the waiver wire? Now's the time. It's back and better than ever, and this is the year your boy takes it home. For the record, we'll start with my team. We'll start with my team. What did I say to you guys? Melvin Gordon, RB1. He's my guy. He's my horse. He is the guy. Melvin Gordon, McCaffrey, Hogan, James Conner. Le'Veon's not playing. All y'all sleeping. I'm wide awake just watching him accumulate points. That's all. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, horse, second best in the game. It's football season. Hello? I'm mid-video right now. Yeah, no, that works. All right, see ya. Unbelievable. No time for anything but football because it's football season. So, anyways, my team, love it. Absolute playoff team. Absolute horses at running back. Tank kickers, Todd Gurley, Tyreek Hill, Crabtree, love it. Don't love Alex Smith. Kenyon Drake, I think he's going to be beat out by Frank Gore. His bench, Jordy Nelson, don't love it. Theo Riddick, he's in a battle with 3 other running backs. This is a decent team. I had it at a 6.9 on the outside looking in. Larry the Bull, had him as a playoff team. Kamara, Hyde, Fitzgerald, Green, Demarius. In a 14-team league, this team is deep. Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, playing the matchups at quarterback. 2 quarterbacks, so I'd consider it high upside fantasy guys. Look, the bench is not as deep as others, but I think the Kamara, Green, Fitzgerald, Demarius, that foursome you have there is strong, will carry you to the playoffs. Bobby Green, this was my highest ranked team. This team is stacked. Breeze, Lynch, Hopkins, Graham, Devontae Freeman, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman. All on the same team. He's even got Frank Gore there, who I think will be the running back one in Miami. This team is a force to be reckoned with. He's underperformed the first 2 weeks, and he's still 2-0. If he was going to lose, it would have been those weeks. Bobby Green, my favorite team out of the draft. Joe Cassano, what did I have you? I had Joe Cassano at a 7.1. Okay, a 7.1. I liked Odell Michael Thomas. Russell Wilson, I thought, was a fantasy freak, although I don't love him as a quarterback. He puts up numbers. You have three guys that I love. Other than that, Kenny Stills, he's a hit or miss. He's a 30 or 3. Don't love that. O.J. Howard, I don't care that he just scored a 75-yard touchdown. He's not an option for me at tight end. Deion Lewis is a backup. Alex Collins, I mean, the guy does ballet or something, not a huge Collins guy. I do like Mike Williams on your bench. I do like the Galladay pickup. You have some options there. You have my handcuff in case Melvin Gordon gets hurt, but he ain't gonna get hurt, brah. You're on the outside looking in right now, but not a bad team. Could give some people some fits. Football Wizard, I'm sorry. I am sorry that you suffered through the draft like that. I'm sorry that you faced the injuries you have, and I'm sorry that it could be a long season for you unless you do some trades, waiver wires. I mean, changes need to be made because Roethlisberger is a good fantasy quarterback, sure, but you got a backup starting at one running back position in Tevin Coleman, and you don't even have another running back right now. Antonio Brown, is he going to play anymore? Is he quitting? Does he want to be with the team? I don't know. He's tweeting out, trade me. Maybe he'll hold out. Pierre Garçon's like 45 years old. Zach Ertz, he's good. You got Quincy Unanuma. I mean, I guess he's a viable flex option. Not for me. Jared Cook is in your tight end position with Ertz. Are you going to move him to the flex? I don't know. I don't see much upside on this team. Unfortunate injury situation already. Moves will be made here in my guesstimate. Juan Pequeno, what I have here for you? I have you at a 6.5 on the outside looking in. I'm not a Garoppolo guy. I'm not. I don't understand why we're going to give this guy all the hype of the world for 6 games. Minnesota made him look like a child. I'm not there yet with Garoppolo. I don't really like his weapons. There's no stud who I think, oh, he's going to be a target monster in the red zone, and Garoppolo's just going to accumulate all these fantasy points. I don't see it. Jordan Howard, I didn't love. Showed me something week 1. Julio Jones, love him. Brandon Cooks, maybe I'm in the wrong, but Cooks to me is like Kenny Stills. He's 5'6". Every time he touches the ball, I feel like he's going to break. I don't see the production like he had last week often. So he's a hit or miss for me. He reminds me of Golden Tate, and they're both on your team. So this is going to be a 130, 140, or 80 points every week. It's a hit or miss for you. I think you're going to miss more times than you'll hit. I think you're on the outside looking in. Moving on to preseason power rankings. Love this team. This is a playoff team. Playoff team. Jandro, I mean, you studied. Instead of going to Maine, you studied. It's fine. I respect it. Saquon Barkley, RB2 in my opinion after my boy Melvin. So you got Barkley, Allen, Cooper. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to be a stud this year. Why? Because he has Dalvin Cook, Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs, and Thielen. Open up the field, pick your target. You got to respect the run with Cook and Murray, and you have 2 horses on the outside with a big tight end. I mean, Minnesota's going to be very good. They're going to put up a lot of points, and he's the quarterback. I love the pick with Cousins. I think this is a playoff team. Even your bench is deep to me. You need to score touchdowns to win these week-to-week matchups. Look at your bench. You can throw in Calvin Benjamin, and I don't give a shit that the Bills aren't going to win a game all year. He's still their wide receiver one. He's still got to get a target or two. Red zone targets are going to him. LeGarrette Blount, anytime the Lions get it within 3 yards of the goal line, he's going in. I'm sorry, theoretic fantasy owners. LeGarrette Blount is going to punch it in. So I like this team a lot. This team has options. I gave this team a 7.8 and a lock playoff team. Founders OG, Wilson, 6.5. Don't love it. My big issue is with David Johnson. Sorry. David Wilson, I think he was a stud for like a year and broke his neck or something. Sad. David Johnson, I mean, I know he's a very good running back, but when you're the only player on the team and they can put 8 in the box, how are you going to get the ball? Who else on that team is going to get the ball that's going to give David Johnson to get any type of space? You can literally stack the box and put a safety on one side to Larry Fitzgerald, and you will literally have everything covered. Sam Bradford is trash. It's only a matter of time until they go to Rosen. I don't see it. I know he's your horse. He should put up big numbers. He's not my favorite. My favorite on your team is Mike Evans. I think he's a stud. I think you have some high upside guys like Corey Davis who you need to produce on a week-to-week basis. I don't see it happening. I wish you luck, but I don't see it this year for the Founders OG. Prater God. So I didn't love this team. I liked it enough to be fighting for a playoff position, but now I love it. Fitzpatrick, I know you picked him up. You didn't, maybe you drafted him, but he wasn't your starting quarterback. That was Andy Dalton. But Fitzmagic, let it ride. I'm surprised you haven't changed the name to Fitzmagic. Kareem Hunt, LaShawn McCoy, Adam Thielen, Juju. There's my 4. I said 4 guys in a 14-team league should win you a lot of matchups, and you got 4. Some would even say on the tight end position, because it's pretty down, you only have 5 or 6 good tight ends in the league. Kyle Rudolph, is he one of them? He's certainly close. I like your bench. I think Njoku, who's, I know he's not a great pass catcher. You need that to be a tight end and catch touchdowns, but he's a freak. He's an athletic specimen. I think he's going to have opportunities, and if he actually does catch the ball, he'll score. You got Rashard Matthews and Josh Doctson, both going to get a lot of targets. I like this team a lot. I gave it a 7.2 out of the draft. I might be even more bullish on this team now than then. Cassano, Big Cassano, no. We had a great matchup in week 2, but Brady, yes. Kerryon Johnson, no. I mean, he's a number 3 running back. Jordan Wilkins, he's a number 1 or 2 running back by committee on a bad team. Okay, so you don't have good running backs. You should have some stud receivers. Stephon Diggs, stud. I'm good with that. I'm not a big T.Y. Hilton guy. I don't see it. He's like Brandon Cooks to me. He's 160 pounds with his dreads, 150 without. He does the whole T.Y. thing. He's too much for me. I know he's fast. I don't see it. I don't love him as if I have bad running backs, I should have 2 stud receivers. To me, I don't see it. Look, the tough thing for you is you drafted Bell early. If he's going to hold out, you're in real trouble. If I'm you, I think I got to put in Keenan Cole up where a T.Y. Hilton or maybe even a Diggs, and you got to trade one of them to try to get a running back if you want to be competitive and just sort of hope it works out. Maybe you can try to trade Bell as well, and someone else can take the risk of him not playing. I think this team's going to need some help. On the outside looking in right now. Dom. So this team, out of the draft, I had you at a 6.8 just on the outside looking in. I do like Newton. I like Landry. I thought you took Kelsey way too early, taking him in the second round. I thought you could have got him in the third or maybe even the fourth. Fournette is a stud. When he's healthy, he's moving. I read somewhere that he ran last year 22 miles an hour on the field in full pads. 22 miles an hour. The guy weighs 250 pounds. I mean, that would kill you. It would kill someone. You drafted Mahomes, Calvin Ridley, Deshaun Jackson. Your team is very deep. I really like this team. Just on the outside, looking in, based on what you drafted, I think Mahomes got to go into your starting lineup. I think you could try to trade Newton. You got Fournette, Ajayi. This team's a good team. 0-2 right now, but this team's not going to go away quietly. I like this team. Mike Riley, Cool Thrones. I don't like it. Dalvin Cook I like. Do I like where you took him? Not really, because coming off a big knee injury, I would have been a little skeptical, but I do like him as a player. Gronkowski, the best tight end there is, so you got the best tight end, good. But you're starting Philip Dorsett in your wide receiver slot right now. You have Allen Robinson, who's a big-time hit or miss. I know he had 10 grabs last night, but I don't see it all season from him. You have Danny Amendola, Allen Hurns, Cortland Sutton. To me, you don't really have stars anywhere except for Gronk. You need stars to win on a week-to-week basis. I think you need 4 if you want to be a playoff lock. You have arguably 2. I think this team will need a little bit of help to get into the playoffs. And finally, Chief of Stafford 2.0, Jack Livingston. I have this as a playoff team. Look, I think this team is really deep. I think you have Phillip Rivers, who I love what's going on in San Diego offensively. Zeke, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, number 1 wide receiver. Evan Ingram, I think he's that tier of just good enough tight end where I want him on my team. You picked him up right before the tight ends got pretty ugly. So I like all those guys. Doug Baldwin, he's a wide receiver 1. He continues to put up numbers. So you're looking at really Rivers, Adams, Ingram, Baldwin. There are your 4 guys. You're pretty deep with. You also have Stafford. You have Brandon Marshall, D.D. Westbrook, Rashad Penny, who some say could be a starter. This team is deep. It's a slow start, but I do like this team to be there in the end. So I just want to also touch on quickly, we had a bunch of great matchups in week 2. Congratulations to myself, McGinnis, John, Cummings, Wilson, Greg, and Rob on their week 2 victories. I do want to touch on a couple close matchups that we had. There was quite a few for this week. We had a Sunday night implication between Money Over Everything and BC Moneyline. I needed Eli Manning to get me 6.1 points. It took 3 quarters and 10 minutes for him to do that. I was sweating. I asked Greg who I should play. He told me he would never consider playing Eli Manning over Aaron Rodgers under any circumstances. I thought Rodgers was hurt, playing against Minnesota. Irrelevant. That was the most stressful game I ever watched. Lucky victory for me. I will never play Eli again. I will actually be dropping him. I don't want to see his face anywhere near me. Casano had a big day from Stefon Diggs to make this a close matchup. Sunday night implications gets the win. The other close matchup, there are a couple more. Jandro McGinnis. McGinnis won by 2.6. Unfortunately, Jandro's kicker got hurt pre-game. He was not able to play. They scored 4 touchdowns. That's 4 extra points. That would have gave him the victory. That is a all-time bad beat. Well, not all-time bad beat, but that's a bad beat. That is. I'm frustrated. Luckily for Jandro, his team is stacked. He'll be there at the end, and that's all that matters. Cummings with a blowout. Huge day from his team. He's got to be feeling good. I like that team. I really do. I had him in the 6th spot for the playoffs, and he's trending up. John beat Joe Casano. I don't think these are playoff teams here, but John's team is very hit or miss. I think he'll be a 130, 140 to an 80 type guy. This is the week he exploded. Cooks, Golden Tate, both had big days here. A good win for John, 1-1. Casano goes to 1-1. So a good win for John, tough loss for Joe. Another Monday night implication. Pat Wilson needed 12 points, 11.5 points, but from Trey Burton, 11.7 points from Trey Burton on Monday Night Football. He got 12.2, including a 3-yard touchdown reception. It is a Monday Night Football dream for every fantasy to win a close one on a Monday night, especially when you come from behind. It's a solid win for Wilson. Everything we like to see. A tough loss for Mike Riley. Riley falls to 0-2. Patrick evens his record at 1-1. Another Monday night implication. Larry the Bull versus Chief of Stafford. I thought this was over a long time ago. Greg was crushing him. I mean, it was. I looked at that matchup and I said, "Whoa, this one's over." I saw, Rex Burkhead wasn't playing. Kamara was having a decent game. AJ Green on Thursday night had 30 points. This was a tough one. If I'm Livingston right away, you're thinking you have no chance. Wrong. Evan Ingram goes off for 20 on Thursday night and gives Brandon Marshall at least a shot to get 12.5 points and to sneak one away from Greg. Brandon Marshall then has 4 catches for 44 yards, 8.4 points in the first half of that game. He's 2 catches away from stealing a win from Greg. Unfortunately, he didn't get another target the entire second half, and Greg comes out victorious. Greg moves on to 2-0, a strong 2-0 start, while Livingston falls to 0-2. I do expect that to change. I like his team. He and Dom are both 0-2, which I'll get to shortly, but those 2 teams will be there in the end, at least fighting for the playoff push. And finally, the last recap of the week was Dom versus Rob. This was quite a matchup. I was watching these games with Rob, and it was pretty dominant start for Rob. Although Drew Brees wasn't doing anything, he really got off to a good start. So he started Corey Clement, who is Jay Ajayi's backup. Dom has Jay Ajayi on his team. Jay Ajayi gets hurt. Corey Clement comes into the game and puts up 20 fantasy points. What are the chances? Unbelievable. That's just management right there. On the flip side, Dom left 97 points on his bench. It is an incredibly tough loss for Dom. You put up 122 points, which would have beat 8 other teams this week, and you left 97 points on the bench to fall to 0-2. I'm frustrated. I'm considering quitting fantasy. You're thinking of, do I need to trade people? It's in your head right now. Get a good night's sleep. It's almost Thursday. Life will move on. It was a good week in fantasy. We have Dave, myself, Greg, and Rob all at 2-0. It's still very early. When I do these weekly videos, I'll really get more involved on the matchups. I'll sort of go through, the timing of players. Was it ever close? Was it projected to be close? I'll do way more in-depth analysis, but I did want to give a quick overview of each team and my thoughts, even that they're irrelevant. I wish you all the best of luck this year. Week 3 starting up shortly. Just to give you a little quick 2-minute overview of what we got in week 3. John, we will be facing off in week 3. You are actually projected to beat me by 2.3 points. McGinnis at 2-0 will be taking on Greg Mraz, 1-1 Greg Mraz. McGinnis is favored to move to 3-0 by about 7 points. Joe Casano, 1-1, will be taking on Dan Jandro, also at 1-1. Joe Casano is favored by 10 points right now to improve his record to 2-1, while Jandro will fall to 1-2. Mike Riley will be taking on Connor Cummings. Mike Riley is currently favored to win by 5. This is a big week for Mike Riley. You don't want to fall to 0-3. He's looking to even up his record with what would be Connor at 1-2. Chief of Stafford will be taking on Pat Wilson. This is a must-win, in my opinion, for all 0-2 teams. Chief of Stafford is favored by 10 points to beat Wilson, which will put his record to 1-2, and Livingston will be improving to 1-2. Bobby Green takes on Anthony Casano. Anthony Casano is currently favored to get his first win of the season, favored by 6 points over Bobby Green. Bobby Green has some decisions to make on if he's going to play Josh Gordon or not. Bobby Green currently sits at 2-0. And finally, a must-win for Dom at 0-2 takes on the 2-0 Larry the Bull. Larry the Bull is favored to win this matchup by 5. So we got some good matchups here. A few teams: Mike Riley, Anthony Casano, Jack Livingston, and Dom. All must-win situations, in my opinion. Make sure you get your best team out there. Looking for a good Week 3, and expect a damn good Week 3 recap. That's it. Have a good night.